Okay, so this is second attempt. Like about a minute and a half into the first attempt, my phone mount fell off, so not gonna save that recording. So this one is gonna be about moving the plot forward and kind of quote doing stuff from a player perspective. Something I've noticed in each of the different tables I've been at, and all the different permutations of like the same tables, usually at least like half of the players I'm ever in a group with will kind of do nothing, especially in RP situations. And you know, there could be a lot of reasons for that, whether they don't want to have the responsibility of making decisions fall on them, or they're not sure what it should be, or they feel like every decision has to be like a group consensus instead, you know, or they're just not like a take initiative type of person. That's really strong language. I usually end up being the player to decide, okay, we're doing this, and I can't say I'm a quote take initiative type of person. But what does this do? So a lot of the time, in most of my games, I am either the de facto party leader or party leader adjacent. Like in the Night Parade game, that's not an issue because we have 3 players that are more than willing to make decisions like that. It's me, it's Nox, and it's Z. What the hell's going on over there? We're all more than willing to make decisions, press the button, and do whatever. And our other 2 players, like one of them is also willing to do that, but they usually don't need to. So in that game, that's not really an issue. We flounder sometimes, but it's not often. In fact, recently we had a big discussion about picking up the pace and doing that, but not the point. Whereas in some of the other games, we can flounder a bit. Like in the Shadow of the Dragon Queen game we've got going. I'm playing a Goblin Wizard in that, as I may have mentioned. There's been several cases, several little spots where my character is kind of the focus. Like we went to my character's home, like wizard tower that his goblin troop took over, and then we went to my character's magic test at the Towers of High Sorcery, and those missions were very focused on my character, so it makes sense for me to make most of the decisions, most of the calls. But then whenever we finish those and we go back to quote like regular broadcasting, I try to take a step back and let everybody else make a decision, and we still have some of those players that are more than willing to make those decisions, but sometimes we can flounder a bit. Not saying that like, oh, we need me to make the decisions or nothing happens. I'm not saying that. It's just like some of the other players that might normally make a decision, they're like, oh right, I got to do it now. I can make decisions now. I'm not stepping on somebody's toes. Let me do that. But recently, the 40K game started almost a year ago. In our 40K game, I'm playing a Carcharodon, and that chapter is very quiet, very reserved. They don't do a lot. They're, probably Raven Guard descendant. For anybody that doesn't know 40K well enough, don't fucking worry about it. I was trying to play a much more reserved, almost silent character. He's polite, but he doesn't make decisions. That's not who he is. That's not how the chapter is. But kind of as a result, not as a result, but there ended up being a decent amount of dead air. And, we had one one player in the group who was playing, or Chief was playing like a chaplain type of character, like a spiritual center for the Space Marines, and he found he was struggling with it a little bit. It happens. Especially, he's not used to playing that type of character. He has no problem, of course, just doing the role play, but like taking that kind of leadership role, he found a little odd. So then that character died. So he's switching to a more to effectively a rogue. We're going to be changing systems, but he's like more of a sniper character now. So because our two other players don't really make decisions and move the plot forward too much, I guess it's going to fall on me to do it. Not in a negative way, but it is what it is. So I'm going to have to change and tweak my character a little bit so he can at least begrudgingly make those decisions. And from his perspective, it's just, okay, our former leader's dead. It falls on me now. Like, all right, good. He's going to point at people and make them do things. So, and that is what it is. It happens. Especially in a world like 40K, it's leaders die all the fucking time. It is what it is. But, like, what do you do in a situation like that? Where you're trying to play a more reserved character or especially if you're the type that usually kind of moves the plot forward for your group, and you're trying to play a more reserved character so nothing happens. I don't have an answer for you. Either you could talk to the other players about it, saying, hey, I'm trying to play a more reserved character, so I'm trying not to push the plot forward and make all the decisions for us. But if you guys don't really want to, I can twist a little bit and try to bring the whole group into it and make those decisions. Because I had to do that before. In the game Zia ran years ago, Ugliest Man Alive, I ended up in that role. The whole group was like that. The whole group was unwilling to like make a decision and push the plot forward. So it came down to my character to always do that, and my character was like a little more, he was younger and he was more naive, so that had implications. But it made sense that character would be able to do that. I didn't have a problem, or that character didn't have a problem stepping up and starting to make decisions like that. That was fine. But in other cases where you are trying to play a more reserved character, that might be tricky. And, I don't really have an answer for you. Like, especially, it kind of leans into the, what this character would do kind of thing. Like, oh, my character would stand in the corner and brood and not tell everybody what to do. Okay, well, nothing gets done then. I don't want to say it's like, well, some people need to step up. That's not saying that, but I always try to give other players room if they want to step up and lean into that. They can. They don't have to. But yeah, I guess that's it. Nothing super complicated today. I just wanted to broach that subject. A little bit of a shorter video. I usually end up at least 13 minutes of 13 minutes with 3 minutes of actual content. So yeah, that's all I got for you today.